Thank you very much for the nice introduction. And I would like to give you the presentation on science right now. Science which is very often difficult, but also which is quite crucial for the innovation. So the skin penetration of active substances. When we are using active substances in cosmetics, you have to be just aware that their activity is strictly dependent on this, how deep they can penetrate into the skin. And we have to also be aware that there are some substances, they just cannot penetrate the skin because of their chemical character, because of their size, and we just have to know it before composing of our products. We use in cosmetics huge amount of plant extracts. You saw yesterday shows many cosmetics going very directly into the trend of natural, organic, but putting these substances into the cosmetic, into the jar, we have to think all the time, does the substance penetrate of the skin to the skin or not? And this is absolutely crucial. So we just have to remember that the skin absorption of chemicals is the key factor in their cosmetic activity. If the substance doesn't penetrate, it means it cannot work in the skin. It can work on the surface, and this is also very important. But our field is just to see what's happening inside. This picture is probably well known to everybody, and you probably all know that the layer of the super layer on it's the stratum corneum layer, it's the dead layer. But this layer, it's kind of the barrier for substances that are trying to penetrate to the deeper layers of the skin. There are some standards, some guidelines for the testing of chemicals, like, for example, OECD guidelines for the skin absorption, and these methods are in vivo, so on the live organism. For these methods of testing how deeply the substance can penetrate, there are some disadvantages because results can differ from one another, and also these are methods that are requiring sensitive analytical methods because the amounts are very little. So you should have very sensitive method to detect. The good advantage is that you have original alive organisms, so you have enzymes and everything what is needed. There are also some methods that allows us to follow the substance in vitro. In vitro, so besides the organism. These are models. And when we look how the substance can penetrate into the skin, we have three terms in English. So penetration, we check how deeply the substance penetrates into the skin. Permeation, we check how does it go from one layer into another layer. And the resorption, it's very deeply, that's the uptake of the substance onto the vascular system. And this, of course, we would like to avoid because of safety assessment. So this diagram shows very nicely how we test it. So we have a chamber, we put the emulsion on the top, and we just detect the substance in the solvent in the chamber. Going to the factors that are influencing skin penetration. There are factors that are very specific for us, for humans, for people. Like, for example, the thickness of the skin, the age of the person. This is quite crucial. There is totally different skin permeation in people who are young and totally different skin permeation within the same person when this person will be older and the skin will be just thicker, less collagen, less elastin. So we just have to remember about it. The circular system activity, it's also crucial, and it's different in different persons. The corneocyte, so the cell's size, this is also very specific for each person. Metabolism, we know that each person has different. So this shows that it's really difficult to predict looking at the substance, and very often if we don't test, we just don't know how deeply it can penetrate. But there are also some limitations coming from the molecule. If the molecule is too big, sometimes we know that definitely it will not penetrate the skin. The shape is important. The lipophilicity, so how it will be dissolving in fats, in oils, its affinity to fats and oils, that's absolutely crucial factor, solubility, charge. So you see that there are factors coming from the human being, from the person, but also factors that are coming from the substance. The very interesting thing, if you take the substance and, for example, some flavonoid, and you want to see how it goes deeply into the skin, and you put it into the emulsion, in the oil in water emulsion, and then you change the emulsion into the water in oil emulsion, or you put it to gel or to multiple emulsion, the skin permeation will be different. It will be not the same. So that's forcing us for testing, because if you don't test in the laboratory, you are never sure if this substance is in this place that you want it to be. There are also some substances that can speed the penetration skin of our actives. They are important, but also we have to remember that other ingredients, for example, in the cream, in the emulsion, you have about 30 or even more substances, 30 ingredients. Each of them are influencing another. So you have to also consider all the mixture if you really want to know where your active substance is. Summarizing factors that are influencing the skin penetration, we have biological factors, so coming from the person. We have physical and chemical properties of ingredients, which are crucial. Sometimes when we look at the substance, like when we look at the protein, we know the protein, it's too big, it will not penetrate the skin. Yeah? There are presence also of other ingredients in the mixture, and the form of cosmetics is very, very important. These substances that you see here, most of these substances you can find in natural extracts. So for me, I'm a chemist, and when somebody is saying that this is natural, it doesn't contain chemicals, you have just chemicals from the chemical point of view here in this mixture. And all of them are influencing the speed of the penetration of actives which are in cosmetics. And when you look in the literature, you see that most of them are acting as promoters of the penetration. But sometimes, in some special situations, these substances that are promoting then inhibit. So again, we are going to the conclusion that we must test to be sure. And the final conclusion of this presentation is that the proper selection of ingredients in cosmetic products is a key factor for penetration of active substances. If we study the skin penetration, we are innovative. we are exactly knowing what's happening with our actives. We are just aware of it, yeah, and we can go forward. If we don't study, the point is that we can just suppose we have the data in the literature. We can read it, we have some knowledge, we have some conclusions, but we are never sure because these systems are so complex that just only tests gives the result. And then we can be sure about the activity of the product and I think we can promote the innovation. So this is the most important thing, and I think that the current science, cosmetic science, is putting huge effort on this field, on the skin penetration of active substances. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for the presentation. And I would like to invite right now the perfect safety assessor, Mrs. Iwona Białas from the CosmetoSafe consulting company, who is a practitioner and who will show you what's the most important right now in the safety assessment. Thank you.